Okay, hello everyone. My name's Clarke Towson. I'm the CEO of INTJ Billing. In this presentation, I'd like to talk about the pride of our Footscray community bar and the Lightning Network point of sale app that I've developed for the bar. So a little bit about me. I've worked in high performance computing, supercomputing, for the Defence Science and Technology Group for the past 21 years. Supercomputing specialist and system administrator for the DST Group supercomputers. I worked in an elite team building the new world-class Defence high-performance computing centre in South Australia, which will house a top 50 supercomputer and one of Australia's fastest supercomputers. The majority of my defence work was at the secret classified level. I accepted a voluntary redundancy package in February in order to work in Bitcoin full-time, and also to concentrate on non-profit and charitable work in the transgender communities in Melbourne and in Pattaya. I'm semi-retired now at the age of 42 due to my government defined benefit pension plan and my Bitcoin and other investments. So working as an entrepreneur, I needed location independent income, which is why I elected to take a pension. The rules of the PSS dictate that members under age 60 can take an income now, but only if they're made redundant. So it wasn't an easy thing to achieve. It took 21 years before this opportunity came up. Okay, you can see here, the Lightning Network is how we scale Bitcoin to the entire planet. So using the Lightning Network, we can achieve 40 million transactions per second, which is way more than any of the competing cryptocurrencies can do. So how early are we with the Lightning Network? Well, have a look at this graph here, the double S curves. So you can see here Bitcoin for store of value, where we are today in late 2021 going into 2022. And for medium of exchange, you can see we are way early. Okay, so for medium exchange, Bitcoin is not going to come into real prominence until much later. So we're very early for Bitcoin as a medium of exchange for payments. So the work that I've done at Pride Bar is leading edge, and I suspect that we're one of the few bars in Australia at the moment that has set up a Bitcoin Lightning Network terminal and is accepting Bitcoin over the Lightning Network. So in the internet years, we're perhaps in 1997 at the moment with Lightning. Okay, this here, the Bitcoin Lightning Network versus PayPal, a guide to terms for merchants. At the moment, like when I first started using Lightning, I thought to myself, wow, this is really complex for the average merchant to understand. You know, my background, computer and math science, my background as a supercomputer administrator, for me it wasn't that difficult. However, for the average merchant, I mean, have a look at the terms. Like if you look at PayPal and you have a look at merchant terms that they're used to reading about, hearing, and using, those terms are very different to the terms that are used in the Bitcoin Lightning Network. I mean, merchants know about credit and debit cards, accepting payments, invoices, paying invoices, making online purchases, payments platform. All these sorts of terms are common for merchants. But how many merchants understand what Lightning liquidity is? Inbound and outbound liquidity, liquid funds, return channels, blockchain, Lightning pool, ring of fire participants, credits, capacity, local balance, public and private key. These are all very strange terms to the average merchant. You get over to Ride the Lightning, we're talking about rounding, transactions, graph lookup, sign and verify, Satoshi's, reports. I mean, none of this is easy to understand for the average merchant. So we have a language problem at the moment in the Bitcoin Lightning Network space. How early are we? Well, there are approximately 31,132 Lightning Network nodes worldwide as of late November 2021. 82,312 channels, network capacity of 3,303 bitcoins. How early? Well, my node Chile calendar is ranked number 2 in the entire country of Australia in terms of its capacity and channel count. Very early, my node is ranked number 1 in Victoria. Now, over in Thailand, there are only 4 active nodes, and the number 1 node has a capacity of less than $10,000, and it's only got 8 open channels. There are no active nodes in Pattaya, Thailand, where I'm planning to open a small office and be the first to set up a Lightning Network node. I'll open channels to my Lightning Network node here in Melbourne. So you can see I've got a silver node on Lightningnetwork.plus, 33 channels, 36 million Satoshis. Again, enough to be ranked number 2 in all of Australia, number 1 in Victoria. How early are we? Well, we know we're very early when I'm writing scripts, custom scripts, okay, where I'm extending the capabilities of Lightning, okay, and the capabilities of BTC Pay Server, where I'm writing bash scripts to do things which the software doesn't yet do. I wanted to be able to present on my website a page about my Bitcoin Lightning Network node, so the general public could see, okay, my node name, how much I've got on my node, my channel capacity, Lightning balance, in and outbound liquidity, number of peers, number of open channels, and the aliases of the channels that I've got open. So we're very, very early. I'm writing custom scripts, okay? Now, despite being so early, the Lightning Network is expanding at an exponential rate. Number of nodes is constantly increasing. Number of channels continues to increase as well at an exponential rate. So, Bitcoin in 2021 is approximately the equivalent of the internet in 1997. Bitcoin in 2028, where the puck's going, will be the equivalent of the internet in 2010. Now, when I got into Bitcoin, it was in 2017, early 2017, which is almost 5 years ago now. So, you know, in the equivalent of internet years, that was like 1992. Right? Very, very early. How early are we? Well, El Salvador's adoption of the Bitcoin Lightning Network was a shot heard all around the world. Over 3 million Salvadorians have set up a Bitcoin wallet. And that's almost half of the population, which is particularly impressive when you consider that only 30% of adults in El Salvador have a bank account. Now, the banks have had many years to help people, but they didn't. And here we see massive adoption of the Lightning Network in a very small amount of time. So here's my Bitcoin Lightning Network node. Here's my server infrastructure. It's a bare metal server located in Spotswood, connected up to the internet via Aussie broadband with an NBN fiber to the premises link. Now, I work with members of the community that need uncensorable payments. The server thus has to sit outside the control of big tech and the governments of the world. Now, it may not look like much, but it's a high-powered machine packed with a very fast CPU and a lot of RAM, running Linux and VirtualBox with multiple VMs. Now, each platform runs something that empowers myself or the people I care about to publish freely and accept money freely. BTC Pay Server. So running on one of my virtual machines, there's a VM called Ulysses, named after the Ulysses butterfly. All my VMs are named after butterflies. As I said, I work in the transgender space. I'm a volunteer in that space, and this is the group I'm specifically looking at working to empower. Now, BTC Pay Server is a self-hosted, open-source cryptocurrency payment processor. secure, private, censorship resistant, and free. Now, Pride Bar has a store on my server infrastructure. The store has a Bitcoin hot wallet and has got a Lightning Network payments enabled. Wallet's got a 12-word seed phrase, which is kept on a sheet of paper in the INTJ billing safe, which is kept off-site in a secure facility. Now, there's a lot of customizations that can be made in BTC stores. We can set the payment rates, prices, items for sale, tips, discounts, payment buttons, look and feel, invoice look and feel, and a whole host of other stuff. Now, the Pride Bar has an associated app. The app is an online store with a shopping cart. That's what it looks like. So, an iPad, which sits behind the bar, the app has been bookmarked. And when a customer comes in and wants to pay with Bitcoin, a Pride Bar staff member picks up the iPad and places the drinks the customer wants to buy into the shopping cart. See here, the quantity of drinks can easily be changed, and upon thumbing on to confirm, the staff member can ask the customer if they'd like to leave a tip, and then thumb on to the pay button. Invoice pops up, BTC pay invoice, with the customer to pay with Bitcoin Lightning Network. Pride Bar staff member simply holds the iPad up and the customer uses their Bitcoin Lightning Network wallet on their phone, scans a QR code and swipes to send Bitcoin. And when the customer pays for the drinks, a notification is generated. I can then go in and see that an invoice was paid. I can watch in real time as drink purchases are made at Pride Bar. So in this case here we see an invoice where a customer has purchased the famous Han Solo drink for $10. The invoice indicates the store name, invoice ID, and other associated details. Now under that we see an invoice summary indicating the payment events. There's a whole lot of payment events here are logged. So if we look into the Pride Bar wallet, we see it still contains 0 Bitcoin. And the transaction was not on chain. So where has the payment ended up? Well, in BTC Pay, if we go under server settings and then under services, you see here Ride the Lightning server. Click on see information. So Ride the Lightning is an interface to the underlying Lightning Network software, LND. So there are 3 implementations of that, which are LND, C Lightning, and a Clarke. INTJ billing is LND and Ride the Lightning. So here's the interface to Ride the Lightning. Won't make a whole lot of sense to most people. Okay, and I'll go into more details about this later on in the presentation. Now looking under the transaction section, we can see a settled transaction. This one here. The invoice for the drink can be seen along with the amount of Satoshis. And when people spend money on drinks at Pride Bar, the outbound capacity increases and the inbound capacity decreases. I'll explain more about that a little bit later in the presentation. Now at the end of each month or payment period, I total the amount of drinks that Pride Bar sold and the amount of Satoshis. Then I simply send that money to Pride Bar via the Bitcoin Lightning Network, or I can send it directly to their bank account as fiat currency. I'm currently working to be an authorized remittance provider and digital exchange in Australia so that I'm able to do that. Now at the moment I'm not charging any fees for operating this as a service. Matt, the CEO of Pride Bar, and I will discuss an appropriate fee. And of course I'm going to be much cheaper than the payment processors such as Visa, MasterCard, the banks and so on. And I'm open to negotiation on fees, whereas they're not. So, inbound liquidity. Inbound liquidity is what lets money flow on Lightning. It's what lets payments move from sender to LSP or Lightning Service Provider. Lightning Service Provider is someone like myself. my company INTJ Billing, who provides this kind of functionality. So lets payments move from sender to provider to routing node to LSP to recipient. Now, on Lightning, liquidity means inbound liquidity. Okay, these are inbound liquidity. Now, inbound liquidity is not my balance. The inbound liquidity is the sum of the remote balance in each channel. In inbound liquidity, remote balance belongs to the nodes that are connected to you. As an operator of your own online store, inbound liquidity is needed to receive Lightning payments. You need to ensure sufficient remote balance. So you can see here, inbound liquidity, I've got a total capacity of just over 21 million Satoshis. Now, I've purchased inbound liquidity from yours.org. You can see there's a lot of Satoshis that I've purchased from them. That's a commercial service where you can purchase inbound liquidity for your node. Outbound liquidity. So when operating your own Lightning Network node, outbound liquidity is required in order to send a Lightning payment. The outbound liquidity is the sum of the individual local balance in the respective channels. So Lightning balance, Satoshis, outbound capacity, inbound capacity. So how does inbound and outbound liquidity change after a transaction takes place? So in this graphic, I've tried to make it really easy to visualize. So buying drinks at Pride Bar, money transfer from a customer to Pride Bar's BTC Pay store. So the state of the ledger before the transaction takes place, starting inbound capacity, 21 million, just over 21 million Satoshis. Starting outbound capacity, just over 10,708,000 Satoshis. Here's a transaction, one transaction. Customer uses their mobile phone, buys a drink. Outbound capacity increases, okay? Inbound capacity decreases. Somebody spends 14,789 Satoshis or $12 to buy one drink from the Pride Bar shop, okay? So the state of the ledger after the transaction takes place, new outbound capacity. Our outbound capacity has gone up. Remember, so where it was before was this number here. Okay, now it's gone up by 14,709 Satoshis. And inbound capacity has gone down by that amount minus a small fee, okay, of 2 Satoshis. Now, the more people spend on buying drinks from Pride Bar, the higher the outbound capacity of my node gets, and the lower my node's inbound capacity gets. Okay. Now, I'm not charging any other fees at the moment to Pride Bar, and I'm going to negotiate an appropriate fee with Matt to be a merchant service provider. Okay. So over time, what I'm going to notice, my company INTJ Billing, when I've got a lot of these transactions going on, I'll see my outbound capacity increasing higher and higher as people buy more and more things from the stores I've set up on my BTC Pay server. So over time, outbound capacity constantly increases as more people are making transactions. Now, how does this change when making transactions out of my Lightning Network service? So here's a second transaction that I've made from my Ride the Lightning instance. So I'm sending money out. So it's the exact opposite. My outbound capacity decreases. My inbound capacity increases. So I've sent 20,000 Satoshis or $16 from my Ride the Lightning Network server to my wallet of Satoshi on my iPhone. So we've got the state of the ledger before and the state of the ledger after. And as you can see, outbound capacity has decreased by 20,000 Satoshis. Inbound capacity has increased by 20,000 Satoshis. So as I send more money out of my node, my outbound capacity goes lower and my node's inbound capacity goes higher. Okay. So when I've got a lot of these transactions going out, I'll see my inbound capacity increasing higher and higher. Okay. Okay, let's talk about peers. What are peers? Peers are Lightning Network nodes. These are other computers, servers on the network running Lightning. Now, we connect up to these peers using Ride the Lightning. So, my dashboard under peers channels, you can see connected peers, and here are all the names of the peers that I'm connected to. Here's their public key, their network address. Now, channels. A Lightning Network channel is a transaction mechanism between two parties. Using channels, the parties can make or receive payments from each other. Now, these transactions are processed differently compared to standard transactions occurring on Bitcoin's blockchain. So you can think of channels like a bar tab. Customers have a tab with a bar, but they may not pay for their drinks on the night, but the amount they owe is added onto their tab. As a future date, when the customer pays the tab, the amount is then settled. Okay, so you can see all the peers that I'm connected to. I've got open channels with most of them. You can see one is pending or inactive. And this is the amount of local balance and remote balance. INTJ Billing's largest Bitcoin Lightning Network payment channel to date is worth over 5 million Satoshis, about 4,000 Australian dollars. That channel is open to Ibex Mercado, which is a key Bitcoin Lightning Network node that's onboarding merchants with hundreds of store locations in El Salvador, empowering them to accept instant Bitcoin Lightning Network payments free from the clutches of the rip-off remittance merchants like Western Union and the like. Now, I'm very proud to be doing my bit to help the people of El Salvador achieve economic freedom using Bitcoin and the Bitcoin Lightning Network. I've made a number of videos which are available on my YouTube channel which go into more detail about liquidity, how to get liquidity, how to make and receive payments using BTC Pay Server, and and some of the terms used on the Lightning Network versus terms used in PayPal. Now, there's a lot more detail there which is beyond the scope of this presentation, so I encourage you all to check out the rest of my videos on my channel. There's a dedicated page on my business website, INTJ Billing. Check that out. It's all about the Bitcoin Lightning Network. A lot of detail there about my Lightning Network node and links to all the best resources about the Lightning Network. I encourage you to check that out. Think of that page as a work in progress. That's a page where, as I've been working on the Lightning Network and discovering new things, I've been adding details to that page. It's not, it's really, it's a technical resource, I guess, for other people who would like to set up Bitcoin Lightning Network nodes. Let's talk a bit about regulation. INTJ Billing, we've recently registered with AUSTRAC, the Australian Transaction Reporting and Analysis Centre. Now, this is a government agency responsible for preventing, detecting and responding to criminal abuse of the financial system in order to protect the community from serious and organised crime. Now, AUSTRAC, what they do, they collect and they analyse financial reports and information to generate financial intelligence. Now, this vital information about potential criminals and criminal activity contributes to our national security and law enforcement investigations. So, in Australia, for me to provide these types of services, I need to be registered as a digital exchange and a remittance provider. Now, I wasn't sure if I needed to actually go through and do this at the moment, given that I'm only transacting in Bitcoin and I'm not doing an exchange of Bitcoin to fiat currency. However, I've gone through the steps to become registered anyway, because I will need to do that conversion in the future. So I had to do a police check on myself as a CEO of INTJ Billing to become regulated by AUSTRAC. As you can see there, but haven't been in any trouble with the law, ever. Okay, so as I said, I'm registered to be regulated. It's a digital currency exchange and as a money remittance provider. I intend to provide businesses and individuals in Australia and in Thailand with high quality, trusted Bitcoin Lightning Network services and money remittance services. And these services include Bitcoin hot wallets hosted on INTJ Billing's BTC Pay infrastructure, Bitcoin Lightning Network point of sale stores for merchants that would like to accept Lightning Network payments from customers, Bitcoin to Thai Baht conversion services, Bitcoin to PayPal conversion services, and Bitcoin on-chain and Lightning Network payment buttons for content creators and people that have websites that have been blocked or censored by the traditional payment providers. Okay, so Thailand, the transgender community, this is a community that I've worked with in the past. I've also worked with the trans community here in Australia as well, and I work to empower them. I do a lot of film work at Pride Bar. I am the creator of the Trans Showgirls YouTube channel, where I film transgender cabaret events that occur once a month at Pride Bar. Now, INTJ Billing, my company, I intend to set up Lightning Network stores for the transgender community and people involved in the entertainment industry in Thailand. There are significant flows of money from Western men to Thai bar girls. Most of that money is transferred using Western Union, transfer wires, and other money remittance providers. INTJ Billing intends to be the first Australian-owned and run Bitcoin Lightning Network service provider in Thailand. Now, sex workers in Thailand have had their PayPal accounts frozen or shut down. So that's the why of this. That's why these people need uncensorable money. They're involved in an occupation that is technically illegal in Thailand, however, it's widely tolerated. Now, the Bitcoin Lightning Network is the answer to the problems of being debanked and having accounts frozen. Now, if the regulators say no, I'm going to challenge them on it and do it anyway. I may not do it in the way that I have to be registered for. I will find another way, so I am then outside the regulations. But I want to make sure that I'm legal, and that means that I'm legal here in Australia and legal in Thailand. If need be, if I can't be legal under the regulations here in Australia, I will skip the country, go to Thailand, live there. I'm going to live there anyway. And I'll set up my company in Singapore. I'll register everything in Singapore instead. The non-profit that I do my transgender advocacy and film work through is Chrysalis Australia. And that's a non-profit that I co-founded with my business partner, Paul. As I was saying, there's no nodes yet, no Lightning Network nodes in Pattaya. And it's likely that I'll be the first to set up a Bitcoin Lightning Network node over there. I mean, there's only 4 known Lightning Network nodes in Bangkok, so this is pioneering work. The Lightningnetwork.plus website, how does that work? Well, if you've got a Bitcoin Lightning Network node, you want to open channels to have both outgoing and incoming capacity. This website can help you. You can easily join liquidity swaps where multiple users open channels to each other. This setup results in a free incoming channel to you in return for you opening one to someone else. It's a 4-step process. I've actually got more channels open now than 25. I've got about 34 open. But that's my node Chili calendar. You can go to Lightningnetwork.plus. It's a very good website, very useful. 1ml.com. It's a Lightning Network search and analysis engine. So here's my node, Chili calendar. There's a whole lot of details about my node. I provide additional details there in the description saying that, you know, my node's been set up for uncensorable payments and that I'm looking to empower people working in the sex industry and sex workers in Thailand and Australia. It's a virtual server, BTC Pay server with Right the Lightning. Instance running on bare metal, not in the cloud, sits outside the control of the grubby hands of big tech and the governments of the world. Emboss.space, it's a Lightning Network Explorer. You can search for nodes and channels on the Lightning Network and get detailed information about them. Very good website. Go to it, type in the public key of Bitcoin Lightning Network node, and find out all sorts of details about that node. LN Channels, another good website. It's based on data collected by a Python script that uses C Lightning, Sparko, Bitcoin Nuts, and Explorer. You can see here my node Chili calendar, total capacity in Satoshis, openings and closings. Mempool.space, an open source explorer developed for the Bitcoin community. A lot of data is available on that website. She's Robot, it's another website where you can find out more information about nodes. You can see here my node, Chili calendar, capacity, how many channels it's got open. It's my node public key and URL, node alias. Terminal Web, this is a very good website. You can gather actionable insights about your Lightning Network node. So you type in the Lightning Network node here and it'll give you some details whether the node's online, has plenty of channels, good routing capacity, and is a good node to be connected to. Lightning Network Node Match. This server will search the network for public nodes that give you the best additional reach with respect to your already existing channels. So I type my node's public key in here, and then I search for potential peers, and those peers, it really does provide a list of the best peers to connect to. So if I want to expand the reach of my node, so that's a website definitely to check out when you're building your node and looking to make it highly connectable within the network. LN Node Insight, this is another good website. You can discover network-wide statistics on nodes, interactively explore node local networks, measure the impact of opening and closing channels, and identify potentially profitable paths in the network. ThunderHub. Okay, so this is software to help you monitor and manage your node from any browser and any device. I'm looking to add ThunderHub to my BTC Pay Server instance. Wasn't installed by default in the Docker instance of BTC Pay Server. I contacted the developer. I've asked him if he would kindly update his excellent documentation to extend to getting ThunderHub working with the Docker instance of BTC Pay Server. Lightning Network Stores. This is the most comprehensive directory on the Internet of stores, apps, services that accept Bitcoin through the Lightning Network. I've created an image map on my website based on a graphic that was in this State of Lightning report. This is highly recommended. Do make it a point to have a read through this document. It's fantastic. It's a list of companies involved in the Bitcoin Lightning Network space in this graphic. So I've taken this image and I've turned it into an image map where you can click on each of these and it will take you to these companies' respective websites. I really like this image because it breaks down all the companies involved in the Bitcoin Lightning Network space and separates them into specific areas. So we've got the technical foundation up here and the Lightning Network implementation. Then we've got routing, node management, liquidity services, wallets, merchant payment solutions, other, finance, dual service, rewards. I really like the way that they've set all this out. And as I was saying, do read through this report. It is brilliant. It provides the state of the Lightning Network as of October 2021. Regulation. This has been the most difficult part about all of this, really. I mean, yes, Lightning Network is new, it's advanced, it is difficult to understand everything, it takes some time to get your head around everything. I've been working on it for over a month, for about 6 weeks now, getting my node set up and operational, but it took me 6 days working 12-hour days in order to satisfy the regulator, and I'm still not sure if I have satisfied the regulator. I'm waiting for AUSTRAC to get back to me. But there's a whole lot of stuff that I've had to do. I had to do a police check. I had to do a training program on anti-money laundering, counter-terrorist financing. I had to fill in a digital currency register. There's a document where they asked me over 50 questions. I had to fill in the same for the remittance sector, okay? And there was a huge amount of stuff that I had to add to both those documents. And these other documents I've got here, these are other documents that I had to write. This isn't all of them, by the way. This is just some of them, in order to demonstrate to the regulator that I'd thought about the business that I'm operating, that I'm proposing to scale up. So this document over here, for example, INTJ Billings Bitcoin Lightning Network Infrastructure, this gives an overview to the regulator of what my infrastructure is, what I've set up, how it works, etc. And I made a companion video to this as well that takes the regulator through Lightning Network transactions, how they work, and exactly what I'm doing. This document here, providing merchant services to Australian businesses using BTC Pay Server, money laundering and terrorist financing risk assessment. So I've used a methodology that is used in the space in order to rate between low, medium and high each segment of the market that I'm dealing with, and how high a risk is it with dealing with them. And I've done the same thing over here with the international remittances to sex workers in Thailand using the Bitcoin Lightning Network. It took a long time for me to do all this. Right? I wanted an org chart as well. The org chart at the moment is just me, Clarke William Towson, CEO, at the top of the organisation. I'm a one-man show at the moment. But I have to do all of this stuff in order to adhere to the law in Australia. If I don't, then if I do all this, if I run this business without being added to their registries, then I'm breaking the law. So I have to make sure that I go through and do all this before I start the business. Now this is only 50% of it as well. I've got to do the same thing again in Thailand in order to provide remittance services to the Thais, I'm pretty sure. What you see here is a marketing flyer in both English and in Thai. Now, this marketing flyer is targeting the bar girls in Thailand. So this is an ad. This was a flyer that will be printed out and given to the bar girls in Soi 6 in Pattaya. Now, at the peak, there's around about 1,000 bar girls or more working in that area that will receive this. It's in their languages as well. And it's a high-level overview of the services that INTJ Billing is offering. So, and it makes it very simple. Receive Bitcoin from your customers. So it's starting from the beginning. We help bar girls be their own bank and payment processor. Receive Bitcoin from your customers. We convert your Bitcoin to Thai baht and we pay it to you in cash. Accept Bitcoin from your customers from around the world quickly and easily with no work required. Create a free website for them with the BTC Pay buttons. If they've been censored, Bitcoin transactions are 100% guaranteed, can't be blocked or censored. Here's how you reach my website. Here's how you reach me. And what is Bitcoin? It's digital gold, it's scarce and valuable. Like physical gold, Bitcoin is a sign of wealth and good luck and is owned by people for investment purposes. Okay. Accepting Bitcoin for your services is a sign of wealth and high status. Converted it into Thai. So I've studied the Thai language for many years now. I also have a translator in Bangkok that I work with on this sort of stuff. And here's my website, intjbilling.com. Do go to have a look at it. Under the Bitcoin menu here, you can go to INTJ Bitcoin Lightning Network. And thanks for listening to my presentation. This presentation will be delivered at Pride Bar as well during a future Bitcoin group meetup. That's it. Thanks, everyone. I'm Clarke Towson, the CEO of INTJ Billing. All the best.